There is a famous rabbinical story about Rabbi Matia ben Charesh relating one man's determination to attain complete mastery over his evil inclination that concerns the eye. Rabbi Matia ben Charesh was rich and feared heaven, and he sat all of his days in the house of study, occupying himself with Torah. Now the splendor of his countenance shone like that of the radiance of the sun, and the beauty of his features resembled that of the ministering angels. It was said of him that never in his life had he raised his eyes upon a woman. Once Hasatan passed by, and seeing him, was overcome with envy, and he said, "Is it possible that there is a righteous man entirely without sin in the world?" At once he went up to the height above, and stood before the Holy One, blessed be he, and said, "Master of the universe, Matia ben Charesh, what sort of man is he in your sight?" Hashem replied, "He is utterly righteous." Then Hasatan made a proposition, "Give me permission and I will test him." And Elohim responded, "I will give you permission, but you will not prevail over him." Hasatan went and immediately found the rabbi seated and occupied with Torah. So he appeared to him in the guise of a beautiful woman, the likes of which had not been seen in the world since the days of Numa, that is Tubal-Cain's sister, on account of whom ministering angels went astray. Hasatan stood in front of Rabbi Matia, who upon seeing him quickly turned his back to him. Hasatan went around and again stood in front of him. When Rabbi Matia turned his face to still another direction, Hasatan was once more in front of him. When the rabbi saw that Hasatan, in the guise of a beautiful woman, turned up on all sides, he said to himself, "I fear that the impulse to do evil will gain mastery over me and cause me to sin." So what did this righteous man do? He summoned one of his Talmudim, who acted as his attendant, and he said to him, "My son, go and bring me fire and nails." A little while later, his Talmud returned with the fire and the nails, and the rabbi passed the nails through fire, then plunged them into both of his eyes. When Hasatan saw this, he was shaken, all but knocked out, and left the rabbi, and in that instant the Holy One summoned Raphael, Prince of all healings, and said to him, "Go down and heal the eyes of Matia ben Charesh." But when Raphael came before him, Matia asked, "Who are you?" Raphael answered, "I am the angel Raphael, whom the Holy One has sent to heal your eyes." And Matia said, "Let me be. What happened has happened." And Raphael returned to the Holy One and reported to him, "Master of the universe, thus and thus did Matia ben Charesh answer." And the Holy One said, "Go down and tell him, from this day henceforth, fear not, I guarantee you in this matter that, throughout your days, the impulse to do evil will have no sway over you." When the rabbi heard Hashem's guarantee from the angel, he was willing to accept the angel's healing, and he was healed. This midrashic story is a remarkable one because it exhibits such an extreme level of determination to triumph over the evil inclination. It also somewhat brings into context some of Yeshua HaNotzri's most difficult teachings. In Matthew 5:28-29 we read, "And I say to you, whoever looks at a woman to lust after her has committed adultery already with her in his heart. And if your right eye seduces you, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members should perish than your whole body be cast into Gehenna, into hell." And in Matthew 18:9 we read, "And if your eye offends you, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into Chaim, life, with one eye, rather than giving two eyes to be cast into the fire of Gehenna." While I am certainly not advocating that men who feel that they are unable to control their eyes to pluck them out, for few people are at such a high level to even seriously contemplate such an act, which in normal circumstances is considered an act of bodily mutilation forbidden in the Torah. But if every man would mentally consider this act, as horrific as it sounds, as being far better than misusing his eyes throughout his entire life, it would stop him in his tracks before contemplating looking at a foreign woman in order to derive pleasure from her.